All right, Bears fans, gather around, because it finally feels like something real is happening in Chicago. You can sense it, you can hear it, and honestly, you can see it on the field. This isn't the same old Bears story we've been used to. There's a shift in the air, a sense of direction, of leadership, and most importantly, accountability. And that's been the biggest difference since Ben Johnson took over. For years, the Bears' biggest problem wasn't just talent or execution. It was this constant feeling that nobody at the top ever wanted to say, yeah, that one's on me. But now we've got a head coach who actually stands in front of the cameras and takes ownership when things don't go right. When Ben Johnson spoke after the last game, you could feel that tone. He said he and Caleb Williams sat down and watched the entire game together, play by play. He praised Caleb for making several huge plays when the team needed it most, but he also pointed out that there were moments both of them would want back, Caleb as the quarterback and Johnson himself as the play caller. That's the kind of transparency that's been missing from this organization for way too long. Instead of deflecting blame or throwing players under the bus, Johnson looks at himself first. And as fans who've had to sit through years of empty press conferences and tired cliches, that honesty hits differently. Now, let's be real. This offense still isn't perfect. There were stretches in that last game where things felt stuck, and for the first 3 quarters, they managed just 10 points. Johnson knows that's not good enough, Caleb knows that's not good enough, and a wide receiver group definitely knows they left some big plays on the field. But the key difference now is that everyone involved is talking about how to fix it, not pretending it didn't happen. That's what growth looks like. The Bears have been in this weird limbo for years, where either the quarterback didn't see the problem or the coach refused to admit there was one. That's how you stay stuck. Now you've got a young quarterback in Caleb Williams who's willing to sit down with his coach and break down what went wrong, and a coach who's just as willing to own his part in it. That kind of partnership between quarterback and head coach can completely reshape a franchise if it continues in the right direction. Let's not overlook what's been happening statistically either. This Bears offense is not sitting at the bottom of the league anymore. Far from it. They're top 10 in scoring, top 10 in total yards, and second in rushing offense. That's wild when you remember how dead the Bears' run game looked not too long ago. They're averaging nearly 380 yards per game, and their third down conversion rate has cracked the top 10 as well. For a team that used to be allergic to sustaining drives, that's progress. Sure, the red zone numbers still need work. They're scoring touchdowns on just over half their trips inside the 20, but even at a step up from where they were a season ago. And credit where it's due, the offensive line deserves a ton of recognition. Only 14 sacks allowed all year. That's third best in the entire league. Think about how far that is from what we were used to, where every other snap felt like a jailbreak in the backfield. It's stability. It's communication. And that's coming from coaching and accountability at every level. Now, Caleb Williams, let's talk about him for a second. Yeah, he's still not hitting that 70% completion goal Ben Johnson set for him, but you can clearly see the improvement week after week. The way he's processing defenses, the way he's recognizing blitzes, it's all coming together. He's playing under center more often, something he didn't do much even back in college, and that's helping him develop as a true NFL quarterback. His timing is getting sharper. He's starting to trust the offense more, and you can tell the game is slowing down for him. Of course, the critics are always going to have something to say. Early in the season, a lot of people around the league weren't convinced that Caleb had what it takes to be the guy. The Athletic even ran a piece with anonymous execs questioning whether he could really adapt to the pro level. But now, those same executives are changing their tune. One of them admitted Caleb just needed time actually playing quarterback in a real system. That's the key. He didn't need to be a superhero out of the gate. He needed to learn, to make mistakes, to adjust. And that's exactly what's happening now. Another exec pointed out that Caleb is finally learning that being a quarterback isn't just about chasing the big plays or throwing deep every other snap. It's about hitting the simple passes, taking what the defense gives you, and letting your playmakers go to work. And that's something Ben Johnson's been drilling into him since day one. Caleb's always going to be a gunslinger. That's in his DNA, but what we're starting to see is him becoming more balanced. He's not forcing throws the same way. He's trusting his reads, and he's learning when to take the easy yards instead of always looking for the highlight. That's maturity, and it's part of why this offense is starting to hum. It's also what makes this whole thing exciting, because if he's already showing this much growth halfway through the season, imagine what he's going to look like once he really hits his stride. Now, one area where the Bears still need to tighten up is at wide receiver. Those drops from last game were painful. It's not something we've seen often from this group, and Ben Johnson even called it an anomaly, but it can't become a pattern. Caleb could have easily had another 50 to 70 yards if not for those missed catches. That's part of the reason the offense stalled in stretches. But out of that frustration, something positive might be coming: the emergence of Luther Burden. Slowly but surely, you can see his snap count and target share going up. He's earning the trust of his coaches and of Caleb. And when the ball's in his hands, the kid produces. He's caught 16 of his 18 targets this season and is averaging almost 14 yards per catch. That's not just efficient. That's impact football. He's shown the ability to create after the catch, to find soft spots in the defense, and to bring energy to every drive. It feels like it's only a matter of time before he gets a bigger role, and honestly, he's earned it. Olamide Zekos has had his moments, but the drops are tough to overlook. Luther Burden looks ready to take that next step and become a real factor in this offense. When your young quarterback is growing and your young wideout is ascending right alongside him, that's how you build a foundation for the future. Defensively, things are still uneven. The Bears lead the league in takeaways, which is great, but they're near the bottom in total defense and points allowed. They're giving up too many big plays through the air and still struggling to contain mobile quarterbacks. But there are bright spots. They're sixth in third down defense, which shows they can get off the field when they lock in. And new additions like C.J. Gardner-Johnson have brought that fire and swagger that this defense was missing. The energy is there. Now it's just about consistency. And as for the fan base, man, you can feel the shift there too. Bears fans are starting to believe again. They see the accountability, they see the improvement, and they see that this isn't some short-term hype train. This is a team actually building towards something. Of course, there are always going to be the pessimists who want to jump straight to doom and gloom at the first sign of trouble. But if you look at this team objectively, you can see the growth. You can see a plan taking shape. This is not about pretending everything's perfect. It's about recognizing that for the first time in a long time, the Chicago Bears have a direction. They got a coach who's honest, a quarterback who's learning fast, and a young core that's starting to click. The numbers back it up, the energy backs it up, and the results are starting to follow. So yeah, this team still has work to do. There are red zone issues, defensive lapses, and moments where things still feel a bit raw. But compared to what this franchise has been through the past few years, this is progress you can actually believe in. And if this level of accountability keeps driving them forward, the Chicago Bears might just be on the verge of becoming something real again. And speaking of belief, that's exactly what this second half of the season is going to test. The schedule ahead isn't kind, and everyone knows it. The Bears are about to face a stretch of games that will tell us exactly who they are, not just as a team, but as a culture. That's where all this talk about accountability really gets put to the test. It's one thing to say the right things in a press conference after a win, but when you're lined up across from a contender in freezing December wind, that's when you find out if those words actually mean something. And honestly, from what we've seen, this group looks ready for that kind of challenge. Ben Johnson has completely changed how this locker room handles adversity. In the past, when things went wrong, the team seemed to crumble. You could almost see the life drain out of the sideline. But now, you watch these guys and there's a different kind of energy. Mistakes happen. That's football. But the body language doesn't collapse anymore. You've got Caleb talking to his receivers between drives. You've got veterans like DJ Moore and Cole Kim E.T. pulling younger guys aside. And you've got Johnson constantly in the ear of his quarterback, adjusting, motivating, coaching. That's leadership. That's what good teams do. One thing that stands out most is how much the young players are stepping up. Luther Burden, like I said, is one of them. Every snap he gets, he looks more confident. He's fighting for yards after the catch. He's blocking better on the edge. And he's becoming a player you can rely on in critical downs. He doesn't look like a rookie anymore. And that kind of development is contagious. It spreads through the locker room. Other guys start thinking, If he can make that jump, I can too. That's how you build something sustainable. Caleb Williams deserves a ton of credit for how he's responded to the ups and downs of his first season. For all the hype and all the noise surrounding him, he's handled everything with poise. And that's not easy in Chicago, where every throw, every decision gets dissected. But you can see the mental growth. Early in the year, he'd force throws, trying to make the spectacular play. Now he's more patient. He's understanding that taking the easy completions doesn't mean you're playing scared. It means you're playing smart. That's how you win in the NFL. And the chemistry between him and Ben Johnson is already turning into something special. You could tell there's mutual respect there. Johnson challenges Caleb, but he also trusts him. You see it in the play calls. There's more freedom, more motion, more creativity. The Bears' offense actually feels modern, and that's something fans haven't been able to say for a long, long time. When's the last time Chicago ranked near the top in total offense? When's the last time anyone could say the Bears were exciting to watch on that side of the ball? It's been decades. That's why what's happening now feels so significant. Of course, it's not all smooth sailing. The defense has been inconsistent, and at times it's looked like a completely different unit from week to week. They've had games where they dominate the turnover battle and others where they can't get off the field. The secondary still gives up too many chunk plays, and the tackling can get sloppy when fatigue sets in. But even with all that, there's fight in this group. You can see the effort. You can see guys like C.J. Gardner-Johnson playing with that trademark edge, getting under opponent's skin, setting the tone. That attitude matters, especially for a team trying to reestablish its identity. Another bright spot has been the offensive line. They're not just keeping Caleb upright. They're opening lanes in the run game that we haven't seen in years. Chicago is second in rushing for a reason. They're physical, they're disciplined, and they've developed a level of cohesion that good teams rely on. It's not flashy, but it's winning football. You control the line of scrimmage. You control the game. Now, let's talk about the fan perspective for a second, because Bears fans are as passionate as it gets. You can feel how hungry the city is for a real contender. After everything this fan base has been through, all the false starts, all the wasted potential, it's understandable why some people are hesitant to get too excited. But the difference this time is that the improvement isn't just talk. You can see it in the numbers, in the way the team carries itself, in the way the locker room reacts after a tough game. It's progress that you can measure, not just hope for. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are swirling around Orchard Park after Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen made comments that nobody saw coming. In what started as a casual locker room chat, Allen reportedly dropped a few remarks about the Chicago Bears that have since lit up social media and sports talk shows alike. While the full context remains unclear, insiders claim the quarterback's tone was surprisingly candid, and maybe even a little pointed. According to people close to the team, Allen wasn't asked directly about Chicago, but the Bears came up when discussing teams redefining their identity. That's when, as one source put it, Josh just leaned back and said something that made the whole room go quiet. Those who were there say it wasn't trash talk, at least not entirely, but it carried enough edge to make listeners wonder what he really meant. Some believe Allen was referring to the Bears' recent rebuild efforts, praising their young talent, but hinting that potential only gets you so far. Others insist he was making a subtle comparison to Buffalo's own struggles with consistency. Whatever his intent, the ripple effect was immediate. Within hours, fans were dissecting every possible meaning on X and Reddit, with one post claiming Allen just threw a verbal dart at the Windy City. The quarterback himself has remained calm amid the noise, flashing his trademark grin when reporters tried to get clarification. "I said what I said," he allegedly replied, refusing to elaborate further. That only fueled speculation. Was it friendly banter? A spark of rivalry? Or a bit of frustration aimed at his own team's critics? As the rumor mill churns, one thing is certain. Josh Allen knows exactly how to stir a conversation without saying too much. And if the Bears were looking for bulletin board material, they might have just found it. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, Be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.